Eccoci, buongiorno.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome.
Io sono
I am 𝗵𝗵𝗺𝗀𝗻𝗵, Director of Demeter Italia. Welcome to this important event. This is a press conference we have organized here in Rome, the capital of our country, so as to give the opportunity to all of you, Stampa Estera and the Italian press, to get to know better some of the initiatives that we carry out as Demeter in order to put together consumers and other stakeholders. You should know that Demeter Italia is the association certificating biodynamic products and cultures. This biodynamic agriculture is the pillar of organic agriculture. And together we are here today because we wish to give a more international perspective to the activities we carried out in Italy, and we also have launched a pathway with farms and tourism to discover the beauties of our country. This biodynamic agriculture is an important piece of agroecological agriculture and farming, everything that revolves around the world of organic farming to protect the soil and health of people, the well-being of people. And with the initiatives of Demeter.agriturismi.it, which is being developed right now, we wished to show the world how we are able to offer with our farms, Demeter, a contribution to a different way of cultivating, of doing farming activities, and to protect the environment, as well as the work of people working in biodynamic and organic agriculture. You know that all the certified actors certified by Demeter are organic producers, and this is an important trade union in terms of the experience of the farmer and the need and the willingness of the consumer of buying certified products that are high-level products. In Italy, we are still working on that. However, abroad, Demeter is very well known in European countries such as Switzerland, France, and Germany. And you should know that the export data will be presented later, and this is an essential data for an asset for the development in our country, in Italy. We wish in the future to have even more Italian consumers that are able to get to know our products, thousands of farmers that with passions and determination carried out their work and their agriculture on their soils. You know that the primary sector is an important sector, and we rely on it on a daily basis. We all have to eat something, we have to drink, so we need to feed ourselves. Very often, however, in our daily life, we forget how important the quality of food is and how important it is to protect our health. With these initiatives linked to tourism in farms certified by Demeter, we want to put together consumers with an experience that allows them to have a clear vision of agriculture and tourism, with a healthy approach towards tourism and a whole long experience that you may have with food and beverages that are offered by these places. These are scattered all around Italy, from Trentino Alto Adige to southern part of Italy, and they are small pearls and contributions. They show the engagement of our regions and small realities and small businesses in the regions, and they will grow in numbers in the following years. These really are the signs, and these are important features of our territories. These facilities are also the destination of foreign tourists. So Demeter certified facilities are an important bridge to foster the knowledge of our world in Demeter, and to have tourists coming from all over the world. Of course, since we are in Italy, as Italian people, we are able to go and to get to know those places, to meet the farmers. You know that biodynamic agriculture also affects and involves cereals, winemaking, oil making, fruit, vegetables, and livestock. Biodynamic agriculture is a holistic form of agriculture, open to any form of agricultural intervention. So any company in Italy can be involved in this with their own cultures, and of course this is not detached from the presence of livestock on those soils. You know that livestock and breeded animals are very important in the functioning of an agricultural setting. So next to cultures, we have livestock that have an important role in this, because this gives you the idea of a holistic and closed circular activity between culture and farming, as well as livestock. So all the Demeter facilities, we also include a part of livestock and breeded animals, because everything is interconnected. So what we eat is linked also to the well-being of livestock, well-being and the wealth of plants, and finally of individuals. So at www.agriturismidemeter.it you can find some of the farms that are participating in this activity all over Italy. Now I leave the floor to Mr. Enrico Amico, President of Demeter Italia, giving us more details on this initiative. Thank you and good morning. Thank you very much for being here this morning and for giving us the chance to informing you about the world, the universe of Demeter. Before starting discussing about figures linked to the production of Demeter, let me take a few steps back and reminding you the way we founded Demeter, what we are today, and where we are in the world. I think it is important to remember where we started and why we started, so that we justify and we explain the work we are doing today through the launch of this project involving certified farm facilities. We know that Demeter is a label, is a collective label owned by farmers. It is very important, this fact, because we ourselves, the farmers, we own and we have the ownership of this label. The label was created in 1927. A few years later, some of farmers asked to Steiner in 1924 some help, some support. So, at the time, some farmers understood, between the two world wars, that some transformation was occurring, and we needed to shift production from weapon production to another kind of production. So they realized that chemicals in farms and in agriculture was leading to a huge deterioration of the quality of product. So the farmers themselves, since they perceived this issue by tasting the food that we're producing, they decided at some point that those products cultivated and farmed through chemicals were not the same of what they used to farm 10 years before with more organic methods. So they asked Steiner, why is that? And can we fix this issue? Can we find a solution? Because we are opposing this evolution. While the widespread thought at the time was industrialized and chemical agriculture. So Steiner held a few conferences, and from there the movement was launched. It took the name of biodynamic agriculture later, and as the director said, today this is the pillar of agroecology and biodynamic agriculture. And this is a container of all the techniques that are used to respect and to protect the environment. And the starting point of all of this are the conferences and the talks of Steiner of the time that were addressed to farmers. So they actually saw this deterioration, and Demeter was supported throughout time by the market trends and from agricultural production, because consumers finally were attentive when even the majority of consumers try Demeter products. Immediately they perceive that there is an added value there from quality perspective, but also from an energy perspective that is carried by the product itself. So this is the core of what we're doing and the production in Demeter. The director said this within Demeter Italy. We have more than 1,000 farmers, certified farmers. These are not only farms that produce in the primary sector. They also are processors or distribution companies that create a supply chain, so that from production to the marketing of the product, we have our label. Demeter was created as an idea in 1924, and it was developed in the central part of Europe. We are very well known in Germany as of today, where everything started, we can say. But we are now in 44 countries all around the world. Now, new branches of Demeter and headquarters of Demeter are being opened in China and in Asia. So we are, of course, present in the global market because we are convinced that there is a sector of consumers demanding high-level quality product. This is why, in this exact moment, we come into play. The ultimate objective of biodynamic companies and farms is not to give the consumer a quality product. Our ultimate goal is to have human activity and human work that is considered as a respected one and a dignified one. So we are giving to nature. We are not stealing from nature. We want to create companies being able to regenerate soils. So in biodynamic activities, soils are able to restore themselves and to improve their features, their energy. And instead, we do not have a depletion of the soil. So there is a vision considering what is waiting for us in the future and what we are leaving to next generations. What does it mean, all of this, with tangible actions? This means activities, daily activities. We have here entrepreneurs, biodynamic entrepreneurs and farmers in the room. We implement techniques in our companies, and we use techniques in order to make our companies respectful of biodynamic agriculture, and we want to be a closed company, we can say. Within our companies and farms, we want to produce all the main elements of production. So, for example, we use compost. We try to produce compost for fertilizing the soil. We try to produce our own seeds. Or, for example, we involve livestock in our farms. Let me just speak a little bit more about some other details and the role of animals and livestock in our farms. Very often, livestock is considered to be something detached from farming or agriculture. Instead, since the beginning of last century, livestock was the central part of agriculture and farming activities. There's always been a barn with pigs, with cows, with a series of animals that were the wealthy side of the farming facility. Today we see this. We see either winemakers, olive oil makers, or fruit and vegetable producers, or they are breeders. So it is very hard to find a combination and the mix of these activities. In a biodynamic farm, everything is very well balanced. I produce fruit and vegetables. However, in my facility, I have a barn and I have livestock. I also produce fruits. So in our company, we have a closed cycle that is one of the pillars of biodynamic agriculture. In addition to that, we contribute to the creation of the landscape and the respect of the landscape. And here we go back to the ideal farm certified by Demeter. So landscape is given by nature by one side, but it's also made by man, the human being. We know very well some important landscapes that are particularly Italian landscapes, vineyards and similar other landscapes. So this is the result of the activity of the individual. But at times when we specialize too much in our activities, we risk deteriorating some landscapes. On the other hand, we have biodynamic agriculture that is able to preserve the balance and to include within not only one specific production, instead a series of agricultural practices and activities that are able to create these beautiful landscapes. So the biodynamic agriculture or biodynamic farming activities means also to appreciate and acknowledge the Italian landscapes that we have as of today. Biodynamic agriculture also means to have a social side of things and to work on that. Steiner, which was the founding father of this movement, affirmed that we need to invest a lot on the social side of things and relationships between company and the workers and the relation between consumers and producers as well. So when we step into a biodynamic farm, all of this comes together in a very transparent and clear way, because in this kind of companies, biodynamic companies, we find evolved forms of social agriculture. For example, we have many activities that are carried out by young people or disabled people in other biodynamic farms. You can also find, for example, the pedagogic side of things. There are some kindergarten in some biodynamic farm facilities, because Steiner also focused on a new way of teaching to children. There is a new way of feeding ourselves, but also to do some pedagogy activities, some teaching activities. So we all know Waldorf schools and Steiner methods of teaching. So in these biodynamic agriculture facilities, we find all of this coming together. And this creates a tourism based on experiences that today is one of the main demands that is expressed by tourists. They do not stop and just admire the beauty of a territory because of monuments or sightseeing places. They want to experience the territory through experiences. And they want to taste food or to taste particular products that are particularly present in that territory, and they want to do the experience of the company or the farm they visit. The director said it before, our facilities and the farms are even more open to this kind of tourism and are visited by foreign tourists. Our companies today, as producers, are oriented towards export. Demeter is not that known in Italy, is not that famous. But this kind of initiative, such as the one that we're having here today, is something that we want to repeat throughout time, because we want everyone know, we want the label Demeter to be known everywhere, and in Italy especially. And this is a way to enhance and to give value to our productions. Just think that in Italy, among the 44 countries where we have Demeter, is the most important country for exports. It exports the most among the 44 countries in wine production or winemaking field, or in the production of fruit and vegetables, where other countries export 95% of their production. So what happens here? Very often that consumer, a consumer that is aware of what he or she is buying, also wants to know about the origins of that product in the specialized magazine store or in the in supermarkets. So products go abroad, and the foreign tourist comes to our facilities and our farms to see and to know how that product is produced. So there is this very important exchange that we want to foster more and more, and we want to open the doors of our farms and our agriturismi, as we say in Italian. Thank you. I leave the floor now to the director to introduce the other members and producers, giving you the direct experience of what they do on a daily basis in biodynamic agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Thank you for all your input. I will now leave the floor to Anna Federici, who has a business right here in Rome. It is an important one. It is called Azienda Agricola Boccea, just round the corner, basically. So we leave the floor to you. Thank you. We are truly close to Rome because we are about 28 kilometers from the Vatican, and this is a huge opportunity. Now, I would like to make reference to all of what the President said about the idea of having a biodynamic business. From my own perspective, it is a living organism. Each component is connected with each other, and each part is needed to keep going and to ensure that the rest of the business keeps going well. When I took over this business, it had been basically abandoned, and what was most important for me was to bring back people to it. So I restructured some of the facilities so that we could have workers there. We mainly produce bovine meat, we have cereal, we have chickens, and olive trees. The tourism side of things started out with the creation of a farming shop where we could sell our products, we could let people taste them, and we would organize small events to explain to people what was the difference between normal products and those made by following those biodynamic production cycles. We mainly organize olive oil tastings. Some of those people often come to us, in particular Stefano Palante. He works with many Roman businesses, and therefore we welcome people, we let them sit down and taste our olive oil. It is a real experience. And then we accompany them to visit our olive grove, and the olive lines are very distant from each other, so within them you find crops, you find pastures, and what used to be considered obsolete in the 70s is today considered particularly fruitful and productive. We are talking about producing cereal or having animals grazing. Now, this might sound a bit weird, but it is true that animals eat some of the leaves, but they also clean up very deeply, and above all, they contribute to the fertility of the soil. Now, after this visit, we sit around the table and we tell people about the history of our oil. Then we taste our own olive oil, and then we let them also taste the olive oil from other regions. And that is because we want to highlight the fact that each region, each plate is different. It isn't just about the variety of oil, but also where those varieties, those cultivars are actually grown. Other interesting things could be some particular experiences, because you know how people wouldn't really be interested in tasting oil, but if you propose that to them alongside some bread and chocolate or popcorns, people get curious and interested and finally understand the typical features of the olive oil that we have produced, or that it was produced in Umbria, for instance. And another important thing is explaining how we can produce without using any anti-parasite chemicals. Therefore, we want to also go, for instance, to a good oil mill. We explained what lies behind the production of our olive oil. It is also about telling the story of our workers, because we tend to think of manual work as something which is something that isn't particularly important, but actually someone who knows how to prune an olive tree is someone who's very educated, because it is somebody that knows perfectly well how to ensure that the tree can live in harmony with itself and with its environment. We have started this phase of modernization, and then we thought of hosting people by creating a residence for artists. We started out last year with an idea of ending a cycle and starting a new one. Now, this group of people is very interesting. They're very young. They're called 𝗵𝗵𝗫𝗫. They're all Afro-Italians, and they represent the African diaspora. During our first year, we had artists that were painters, but also performers and cooks. What was most particular, in my opinion, well, I'll read this to you. This is symbolic. Having artists, theorists, those were the seeds for me that would give new life to this place and project, because farming, which takes inspiration from ecology, which is the basics of biodynamics, can also be an art. An art that on one hand is involuntary, because by the intervention of all of those different mechanisms, it takes its own meaning. On the other hand, a good farmer that knows their animals, understands the territory, is wise, knows how to observe, is able to use its lands as an artist would. Because if things go well in a farm, it's because the lands are well cared for, and so are the animals. And then I talked about pruning, and then the fields are defined and by the trees or by some other ways of outlining the territories. And the point is that the farmers know those wild plants, they appreciate their pharmaceutical properties, and they're aware of having this gift for manuality. They are not intellectuals that are detached from the environment. Besides, artists are creatives. Many of them work with matter. So it is interesting to have those young people in this kind of environment. We have involved them. I wanted them to get to meet everybody. And they also had our business staff help them out. We have repeated the experience in a different place that we inaugurated with them. And that was the point, because I wanted to tell you about what a biodynamic business is like. I saw those barns, those stables, and we decided to build a small cottage right next to them, which is where we run the final phase of our livestock farming. And that is because, you know, we sometimes think of stables and barns as having a terrible smell, being degraded, but actually, because the cleaning of the place is actually well run, because we give them basically cereals as feed, there is no smell. There is nothing ugly about the place. Nothing is unhealthy. Another challenge was creating some electric fences so that we could have continuity between the garden and the pastures. Now, with those artists, this was a bit of a challenge. Actually, it went very well with them because they totally integrated themselves with the situation, but now we have new people and we'll see how it goes. Nonetheless, you should also consider that our garden is made up of different smelly plants that draw in insects, and that means that the situation is sort of favorable to them because they might stay there, but we'll see how it goes once again. The idea is that a farm or agriturismo in a biodynamic landscape is a key part of all activities. And it is also about making people appreciate the struggle but also the beauty of our products. I think it is so important, also because we're so close to Rome, because through tastings of oil, for instance, walks, we try to draw in people coming from Rome that are sometimes not particularly sensitive to biodynamic agriculture, but they find themselves being surrounded by a world that is so captivating and lets them understand the advantages of this type of farming practices. Very well. Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you for your support and for your testimony, for your commitment. Your daily commitment, of course, is deeply needed to run businesses such as that of Anna and Enrico, because you need to be able to be the directors of those places. And now leave the floor to Marco Marocco, who has a business in Lazio. You focus on a different type of culture. I do horoscopes. No, I'm joking.
Io vengo da un altro settore.
I take care of beekeeping.
A Roma
I come from a different sector.
ho un'azienda d'ascensori.
I actually have a lift business in Rome. My dad used to build lifts, and I started out in 2007 as I was setting up this flat in the Ronconi building, which will then become the headquarters of our business. And we were also part of the 𝗙𝗢𝗡𝗙𝗏 village, and that's where our idea of the farm came about. Now, I want to stress that mine isn't really an average farm. It is a farming business, and that is because we have the so-called monoculture, which was definitely the means through which Palazzo Tronconi managed to survive over the last 15 years. On the other hand, we also try to work on other sectors. Nonetheless, the business was created in 2007 in this historic building near Frosinone, and we didn't even have any lands. My dad was from 𝗙𝗢𝗡𝗙𝗏 and my mom was working in the railways, and so they were looking for a job. They buy this flat and the lands, and they start planting those varieties that used to be grown in 𝗙𝗎 that were not very well known elsewhere. And so they did so with a biodynamic perspective. Now, I am a mechanical engineer, and then later on I studied I took agrarian studies, and that's how I learned about biodynamic agriculture. We could even talk about some topics during our classes, and that's how I became curious about biodynamic winemaking and farming. And then I met Simone Annoro, the son of one of the greatest biodynamic farmers from Europe, and that's how I fell in love with biodynamics. Now, what happened then? I come from 𝗙𝗎, near Frosinone, and it is a place that is forgotten by all, especially in terms of winemaking. What was our idea? Creating a brand that had a different perception of the product. People did not know those varieties that I mentioned, and they didn't know biodynamic agriculture either. So we made a huge effort physically and economically, because those businesses start from scratch and they need huge investments that were coming from our lift business. Without any lifts, I would not be here talking about it. It was so cumbersome anyway. It required so much work. Now, we wanted our business, our wine, and our productive process to be known. Aside from the receptive idea and need, where in terms of our Palazzo Tronconi, where we also created a bed and breakfast, I want to tell people about my experience of biodynamics. One of the hardest things is that I hear about biodynamic agriculture from people that do not actually know anything about those practices, and that always left me a bit puzzled. That's why during those 1 hour talks, I tell people not just about the farming experience, but above all, biodynamic food. We are talking about simple food, because I do not want to scare any people away by talking about philosophical ideas. I always try to talk about biodynamics in a practical way, because it is extremely practical. And then also about how we can use these practices to make money. because this touristic aspect, which also focuses on wine tourism, and experiential wine tourism, brought so much income to our business, especially in 2023 when we had a terrible harvest. But thanks to our new cellars that we created in 2017, we managed to cover the huge production costs of 2023, precisely thanks to agriturismo, or a wine tourism business, as we may call it. Now, from here, many colleagues that deal with winemaking and were often coming to Palazzo Tronconi understood the importance of tourism in order to support businesses such as ours that were not known in the wine sector, especially unknown in Rome. Therefore, wine tourism as a source of income to support these new businesses that need to invest so much to create a brand. Now, doing so in the wine sector, you need a whole generation, about 25 years. This means that you need external economic sources in order to support the business. What was our idea? We wanted to bring in people in Palazzo Ronconi through wine. Now, I've always seen it as a postcard, you know. Do you remember postcards? We would send out postcards to say hi to our relatives or to get them interested in our business. So we didn't just want to talk about wine, but the territory as well. The actual names of everything. For instance, I have this wine, I make this one called 𝗙𝗲𝗺𝗀 that evokes some some ancient Roman things, or some dialect also that we use. The idea behind it all is to push the tourists, but also Romans, to visit Palazzo Tronconi. At the same time, cooperating with other businesses in nearby that collaborate with us is very useful. For instance, we organize some guided visits in oil mills in Terracina or in Mosagreviccio Macerano or Maseno, and we also visit some animal farms, or we also have our sheep farm, our trusted sheep farm, where we also run visits. Basically, we have some key collaborations, and I should not forget, above all, we created 𝗄𝗏 Naturale. The province just outside of Rome, in the countryside, is called 𝗄𝗏, and through this experiment in the tourism sector, we created other businesses in the farming and wine growing sector, and that's how we founded 𝗄𝗏 Naturale, an association made up of 10 wine farmers following the same philosophy. And basically we would run spontaneous fermentation in our cellars and so on and so forth, and we mainly work together in the wine sector, and also we also started self-distributing our own products in the province of Frosinone, which is incredible. Hopefully we will be able to continue. We are cooperating between wine businesses, businesses working in the same sector to sell experiences to tourists, Romans and also people from farther away. The concept of our osteria, which is about hosting. The figure of the host, Umberto, is my man in charge. Some of you will meet him. He is
Umberto ha iniziato con
a real host. He started out
del posto,
by selecting the farms in the area, visiting them, tasting the products, and then including them in our menu.
Umberto è diventato l'oste
The host becomes the ambassador of those farming businesses that very often
all'interno del comune
would have stayed in their own municipalities,
e non sarebbero mai riusciti a
and they would have never been able to sell outside their own small villages, and now they're managing even to sell in Rome, which is something that would have been a taboo years ago. Now the osteria is used to promote the wines of Palazzo Tronconi alongside our traditional food. That is fundamental. The idea is to bring food traditions from our province into the future. We want to summarize the past, present, and future.
Vi ringrazio per la
With this, I have concluded. Thank you so much for your attention. Please follow me on the many social network profiles that we have of Palazzo Tronconi. I run the pages, and then, if you're lucky, we'll meet at our business. Thank you, Marco.
A questo punto
At this point,
le immagini che abbiamo sono state portate
presentations that we've heard are so many, so well developed that our associates told you about. Now, if you have any questions, any doubts, any curiosity, any need to learn more about something, please let us know.
How many farms in Italy are you involving in this new round of certifications, and what is the potential you can count on? So farms are at around 20 in this phase, scattered all around Italy. There is a list on the dedicated website, and the potential relies on the ability of certified Demeter agriturismi to open themselves to this possibility. The interesting aspect is that by carrying out a first screening of associated farms, by asking them if they had facility to receive guests, we discovered that there were more compared to what we were expecting. So this is impressive and positive. So now in this phase there are about 20. And the potential, I think, that will be exploited and unleashed in around a couple of years. Maybe there will be 50 in a few years. Thank you.
For Mr. Marco,
Una domanda per
the assembly. Mr. Marco, please, how can you call your vineyard palazzo? It's not a palazzo.
You mean why I called Palazzo Tronconi? Because everything starts 15 years ago when I bought an apartment in this palace. The name of this palace was Palazzo Tronconi. You know that in Italian palazzo means building. And the idea, it was just through, I really liked the name, and I didn't want to use my last name because in Rome my last name was actually is well famous just for the production of elevators. So I don't want to mix both of them. I decided to use this kind of name, just that.
So the next question, please, is I want to know if Demeter has the support of local authorities here in Italy, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Economy, Ministry of Culture, etc., etc.
Okay, until today, Demeter is not that well known in our Italian panorama. It's a kind of agriculture that is very, pointed to the sustainability of the agro system, and it's part of the organic agro system. So in that way, Demeter is known in our institutions because it's part of the organic agro system and and also of our heritage. But until today, much work more has to be done in order to bring Demeter at a more, positive status also in our between our national consumers into our national panorama. Sometimes we are able to organize activities, also some marketing activities used to grants and other initiatives that we have thanks to the public authorities in Italy. So ministerial grants or other kind of grants, and therefore we are able to produce also something. The possibilities, since what you have been hearing are so many and so nice also, are, I should say, much more to be achieved in the future. Thank you.
I would like to ask you maybe, can you introduce us to some numbers about Demeter in area? How many hectares in Italy are included in Demeter, and which are the most important foreign markets? And maybe you have measured this in value, export in value, if does exist this number. Thank you.
So thank you for the question. In Italy, we have around 1,000 associates at the moment. And I should say that the hectares are around 16,000. So it's not that much, but the quality of those hectares is far more important than the quantity at present time. As our president was saying, and you have felt also this from the words of Anna and from Marco, much of the products are going to our export activities because the Demeter brand is very much known and appreciated abroad in other countries. And we have to develop much more in internal market, domestic market, that can help also to sustain these initiatives that are part of our cultural and heritage system, I should say. Speaking about percentages, their export percentages are very high. It's different from sector to sector. There is something in our brochure that we have sent to you, but I should say that generally speaking, the exportations are about 75–80% of the products presently. What we hope is that exportation could possibly continue, but at the same time, our domestic market could increase. And this depends very much on about the, the consciousness of the consumers, that at present time somehow are very much more interested in what's called sustainability, if you understand what this word is meaning today. And on the other hand, also on the opportunity that Demeter has to organize initiatives in order to let her known to the public. So it's both side initiatives that we are going to develop in the future. Thank you. Please. C'è una domanda lì? Yeah.
Hi. It's Uriol from 𝗍𝗥𝗀𝗙𝗏 from Spain. You were commenting about the challenges on the retail, on the internal consumption, right? With most of the production going to export. In Spain, we have more of the same problem, in particular in organic farming, and even more in biodynamic. So my question is, how in Italy is appreciated from retail? You showed the example from 𝗙𝗏𝗺 that I know that is a good example of this, but how is appreciated within big retail as well, the biodynamic products, and what could be improved, or what do you hope that could be done better in this way to improve internal consumption?
Okay, thank you for the question. You're right. There is a specialized organic retailer in Italy. It's called 𝗙𝗏𝗺, and they sell only organic and biodynamic products. As you may know, the logics of the organic and biodynamic selling system, it's not the same as the so-called conventional one. So in the future, we may tackle also other supermarket chains, but it depends very much from us to the question, to the demand of those other players to us. So it's a tricky situation. It has many possibilities, of course, in order to be part of a development that can bring also to consumers this kind of high quality products that, as we have known this morning, are very good and have a positive impact to to the nature, to our salute, yes, also health, but at the same time, it depends very much on how those other players intend to tackle and to invest in organic and or to biodynamic products, because the logics are not the same. It's not, I should say, a very industrialized sector. It's a sector that is very much linked to the nature, to the rhythm of nature, and also to the possibilities to have products on the shelves of the supermarkets and so on and so on the one side. On the other side, I guess that other players should or have to improve very much, a little bit anyway, what the need of the consumer today is. So if they can discover that the consumer today, the generally so-called consumer, is able, is willing to buy organic and biodynamic products, they are going to invest, and they are going also to buy and to propose organic and biodynamic products. Thank you. No, la signora dietro.
Hi, I'm Xiaowen from Taiwan. And so my question is about your logo, Demeter, that you mentioned you have 1,000 members. Do they all produce products? Do they all use this logo? And then this is the first question. And the second is that you mentioned about the agritourismo. So I didn't understand quite well. So if consumer see this logo Demeter, does it mean that there are all the possibility to go to these 1,000 members and to have the experience that you just mentioned?
Okay, yes, thank you very much. The history of the logo is very interesting. It goes back when Demeter was founded in 1927. So the first agricultures, the first consumers, the first processors met, and they wanted somehow to give an image in order to have a possibility to ensure the quality of the work on all the way of the value chain. I'm speaking about 1927, so it's almost 1 century ago, 100 years ago. And they wanted to give this image that was going to bring the image, the idea of a very high quality agriculture and products connected with the earth. And therefore, they find out the name Demeter. It's coming from the ancient goddess Demeter, so the goddess of the fields, of the products of the fields. And therefore, Demeter was then developed in different logos. This one you are looking at is the last one, and at the same time we have also in some products, especially in Italy for the wine product, another logo that is kind of a flower with the earth and the sky above. Okay, so that product that in Italy is characterizing very much the wine sector. Okay, coming to the second part of your question, it's not that each and one of those 1,000 farmers have the agritourismo experience, but I was telling somebody else, at the moment we have 20, we are going to have 50 in the next future, and so that's a way to give a bridge between this logo and the quality and the production of these products in the fields and on our territory. Thank you so much. Sure.
I came back to the subject of certification of agritourism because I understand it's the news of today. Is costly from bureaucratic point of view or financial point of view for the Demeter?
Okay. I should say that since a Demeter farm or a processor, but we're talking about farms at the moment, okay, have the Demeter certification, this means that bringing an agritourism experience could be part of this offer they are going to have. But as we have been hearing, it's very much different from every experience of every and one of those farmers, okay? So the certification of the products is what they are going to sell, of course, and part of this stays also in the agritourism experience. So the agritourism experience can be seen as another image, another part of this whole concept of biodynamic agriculture and of experience that customers can live in these different places. Can be seen as an upgrade or something that stays aside, yes? Exactly, that's it. Thank you.
So what is your next target now?
Oh, I just was curious in terms of the certification itself. Do you find that you have more vineyards or companies coming to you to look how to get certified, or are you really needing to approach them to get them going?
No, luckily we don't have to do that, or we aren't in that kind of initiative at the moment, because we are getting very interested people that are coming to us, especially in the wine sector. I forgot to mention before to you that the wine sector is one of the most trendy cultures that are asking for the Demeter and that are represented by Demeter, of course, in Italy, but together with all the other agricultural experiences, yes. So at the moment, what we are looking at is that we are facing a much more interested question from farmers that are asking, what is Demeter? What are you doing? Perhaps they also already know what's biodynamic, because in the sector biodynamics it's quite well known, of course. But at the same time, they don't know exactly what Demeter represents. So whenever we have the time to have a touch point with the farmers around Italy, it's very interesting, because they get into the feeling that the Demeter is representing themselves already. Since it's an association of producers, it's not an international for-purpose marketing seal. Oh, I forgot to mention before. From my knowledge, Demeter is the most ancient quality insurance brand in the world. As I was saying before, it's dating 1927, yes? So, of course, it's very interesting because farmers are getting more sensible about those aspects that we were talking about. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, no, you heard the question about your new target. What are you expecting now?
I guess we are expecting to tackle much more the quality that we already have and to increase quality. It's not a question about quantity. Quantity is important. Of course, we all need quantity, but as it's part of biodynamic also for the view of a biodynamic farmer to improve and to tackle very much the quality approach. It means that we are on an ongoing path to improve quality, our quality system also in certification. This means that we are doing a very good job already in this time, but at the same time, we aren't yet satisfied, and we are looking very much in improving this quality system, because this quality system has to guarantee this quality not only to our farmers but also to the consumers. And once somebody is buying a Demeter certified product, he expects to receive the guarantee that he is paying for. Okay? Therefore, our quality system, it's what we are looking at very much. Thank you.
Thank you. My question is concerning mostly the wine sector. Do you know how many wineries, the percentage of wineries in Italy that are certified Demeter compared to others?
Yes, I should say that wine farmers are almost the half of our system at the moment. You know that the wine sector is sometimes trending what the initiatives are in the whole agricultural sector. So also in Demeter, in Italy, but also in other countries like France, etc., that have a typical wine-oriented agricultural production, the wine is very much represented. But what's interesting, as Marco was telling before, also he's a vineyard, he's a vintner, is also that who is focusing on wine and on vineyards at the same time has to conceal this with a much more broader view and practice that are going to a more holistic approach to the agriculture, the biodynamic approach. Correct, Marco?
Absolutely, absolutely. You can call it holistic. We can call it even a doing a networking in the same time. You know.
Do you think the communication has changed a little bit about what is biodynamic viticulture? Especially, I'm sorry, I'm in the wine sector, so because it was a lot about holistic approach at first, and now we're talking more and more about regenerative and livestock and many more options that are added to that holistic approach. Have you seen the changes in communication or in the understanding of consumers about it too?
I believe yes. In the last year especially, also the Demeter wine communication has gathered much more results in terms of being interesting also for wine lovers that at the beginning were more expecting something like natural wines, you know, that question. So in Italy, and in a way, in the last years, we have conceived the possibility to have a more interesting communication also about wine. But why this? Because the producers are the first representative of how this can be communicated. And because we have a lot of very important and fruitful, committed producers in our association, this is their testimony to how they can be part of the system and how they can communicate also the wine experience. So it's not anymore only something related to the natural wine, but it has a kind of splitting out, flower coming out, I don't know how to say it, yes, okay? I hope you understand. That is characterizing very much also the wine sector, yes. Much more has to be done, of course.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to, can I say something?
Please.
One thing that is often come out when people come to visit me, they ask me if I produce biodynamic wines. I don't produce biodynamic wines because biodynamic is an agricultural approach. Biodynamic finished when grapes arrive to my winery, you know. So it doesn't exist. We cannot talk about biodynamic wines, but we can only talk about biodynamic agriculture that we use in the production. And that's the most important part, because we often talk about wine, but never talk about grapes, the production of the grapes. For me, it was very important to underline this fact, because we often talk about wine, so maybe wine or many people come to me and ask me, what's your enologist? You know, and never ask me who works in the field. You know, what kind of grape you are producing. We always ask about the production of the wine, but never about how I produce the grape. So the most important part for me was to underline how it's important to the production of the grape, the good quality of the grape. If we want to conduct a spontaneous fermentation in our winery and produce a very clean and good wine, we must produce the best grape. We must brew at the winery the goodest grape to if you want to let it ferment spontaneously. And that's very important. That's why a biodynamic approach helped me so much to produce the best grape. And that's the most important things that I want to underline. Because we always talk about wine, but not about the vines and the grapes. They're the most important parts. And then the wine. Okay. Thanks a lot.
I'm sorry. It's the same for the cow. Biodynamic is the food for the cow.
No. Well, this is agriculture. So we manage using certain practices that are agriculture. So the cows, the cat, whatever, should eat the grass, should not eat certain other type of food like silage or other things, or all the mix, no? Sorry.
all the mix, and so it's the way you manage your cattle, your cows, your sheep, whatever.
Hello. So you have around more than 200 winemaker producer and Demeter certified. I'm pretty sure most of them welcome tourism at their wineries. So I want to understand how you're going to promote or include those producers and the new certification, agro-tourism certification. Why there are only a couple of them member right now?
Because until today, the main focus of our producer in Italy has been to make productions, to have a healthy approach to the soil and to the products. Okay, so in Italy, biodynamics exists officially since the Second World War, more or less. The beginning of biodynamic in Italy started in the 30s of the last century. So in this period of decades, our farmers have concentrated very much on the agricultural aspect of the productions. Today, I guess we are starting a different age also, okay, that it's more interested in differentiate the experience also in this kind of initiative like the agritourism. But you have to know that the agriculture mission is very hard. You have to, I mean, being a farmer, it's not that easy. Being a farmer is, I guess, one of the most sacred missions in humanity today. And we often don't recognize it because we take it granted that what we are eating has to be good and so on and so on. But our farmers daily has to manage what the sky is giving, rain, sun, etc., etc. And this is an aspect that can compromise the culture on one side. On the other side, it needs from the farmers a really much positive attitude in order to research and to find solutions for what our climate, for instance, is giving to us. And in all this, as we were talking about, some of our farmers are already ready to give this agritourism experience, okay? I hope it's fine. Yes, thank you so much. Please.
Yes, I have another question about the, your members and Demeters, about the relationship, I mean. So once your member receive Demeter, do they always have it, or every year you follow or you control what they're doing?
That's our quality system, and we control every year everyone who has the Demeter seal. That's the certification system. This means that voluntarily every farmer, processor, distributor receives every year 1, 2, or 3 audits from our auditors in all Italy. And this is the quality that we have to insurance to our customers. It means that our associates need to prove what they are doing on the field, of course, also all the documentary and the bureaucratic part of it, but especially also in the field. Our auditors are very much committed to this part of their job. It means that we have around 200 auditors in all Italy that are committed to the Demeter cause. And we are improving very much also this part of our quality system, granting them initiatives where we teach them and we look at together with them what has been the last year difficulties in order to get a much better approach also in the next year. So it's part of the rolling out process that year after year we are trying to make better and better. Thank you so much.
Posso parlare? I would like to add some information to our Spanish friend because I am in the board of 𝗙𝗵𝗺, and we are developing the Spanish market. As you know, you have 3 chains in Spain, Veritas, Pepe Navarro, and Bioconsum 𝗙𝗵𝗺. We are merging with one of our company, Spanish company, 𝗄𝗏 Group, that is in Lodosa. And one of the the aim is just to developing the Demeter products. This example is valid also to other countries. The important thing is to create a chain, we call in Italian filiera, with a strong basis of farmers. Because the client must check where the product comes and how they grow these kind of products. So it's clear that Demeter brand is not very well spread as in Germany or Switzerland or Dutch northern countries. But it's the only way to carry to the client, to the final clients, the values and the person as them that are back the system. So it takes times, but step by step we will get it. Okay.
So, thank you very much for coming here today. I guess if we don't have any other questions, we can continue talking with a glass of wine or something and eating together here in another room. Demeter wine and other Demeter products. Thank you so much.